The Olsinski Law Firm is an official sponsor of Top Bin 90, specializing in personal injury, criminal defense, DWI, family law, and workers' compensation. The Olsinski Law Firm provides professional, trusted legal services to clients facing a variety of challenges. With a team of experienced attorneys dedicated to protecting your rights, the Olsinski Law Firm is the legal support you can count on.
Hi, I'm Justin Olsinski, the founding partner of the Olsinski Law Firm. Me and my wife started this firm back in 2010 with the sole purpose of providing excellent service to our clients, giving our clients a personal touch because we had worked in bigger firms where we saw that not happening. We handle criminal defense matters, civil personal injury, wrongful death, workers' comp, and family law matters. We have a team of attorneys that care about the outcome of your case, and we will fight to make sure that you get the justice you deserve.
Hello, and welcome to a new episode of the Top Bin 90 podcast. We're back after a crazy MLS All-Star week. Charlotte FC getting outclassed by Robert Lewandowski. Corwin Vargas is officially gone. And a lot more things to talk about today on this episode of the TB90 podcast. And with me, I have my co-host, Mr. Brian Bamauer Media. How are you today?
Feeling great, man. Feeling like that Evander banger.
Nice. Okay, so you're feeling good. And we also have Mr. Billy McGee. How are you, Billy?
Doing pretty good. Would be a lot better if Charlotte didn't lose. So,
Yeah, I think we all are. I think we saw the power of a new DP of the caliber of Lewandowski, and also the ability to just get them to play, which is something that we'll discuss as well, that, it feels like it's a little bit more difficult for Charlotte, to get their signed players to come in. And so, but first I want to start off with, last week in Charlotte, we had the opportunity of hosting our first ever MLS All-Stars. I got to also say, shout out to MLS because the availability that they gave and just the opportunity for us to be able to cover the just everything that was going on. They made players accessible. They let us know things ahead of time. And so, like, us who are kind of trying to get that news out to people, that's really great on their end. So I appreciate on them. But Brian, I'll start with you. What did you enjoy about MLS All-Stars?
Yeah, I think for one, just meeting a lot of the stars, because I think so much discussion happens around Messi and what he brings to the table in terms of exposure and momentum for MLS. But I feel like after this last week, seeing the other stars that were there, Thomas Müller, I think, and Heung-min Son specifically, like their personalities and their willingness to kind of buy into this league and participate and be involved and be just active members in so many ways, I think is a huge plus, not only now, but into the future as more stars continue to come into MLS and this league grows. So I think first and foremost that. The skills challenge, I was really excited about that. Super, super fun. Shout out to Tim Ream on how well he did at the passing challenge there. But yeah.
Nice. You, Billy?
I loved it. I mean, just all the All-Star stuff was fun. The skills challenge was really fun, even with the weather.
Rain delay,
impacted it, but the rain delay made it a little bit less fun, but it was still a fun event to go to. And then the game itself, I mean, seeing Heung-min Son in person is crazy. Like, for the first time. Like, I've never seen him play before in person.
It is. And it also, gave us an opportunity to meet other people as well, that come for things like this. And so I enjoyed all of it. I think what you're saying is bang on, Brian. Even Thomas Müller, he commented on one of our videos, which that's pretty cool, And so I just kind of like that, he's really embracing, being a, ambassador for MLS. Yeah. And so.
And then even, the weekend before, I don't feel like a lot of this event gets. That's one thing I would say. I mean, props to MLS for how well they put on the event. I don't feel like they do themselves enough of a service of showing for because I mean, if I had known just what they do for that 5-day window, I mean, that's an event people should be traveling to. I feel like
I got 12 rolls of toilet paper, bro. The event was phenomenal at the park.
So I think the fan fest, the giveaways, all the different activations that they have, but just also the access to players, meeting. I met Landon Donovan for the first time, Clint Dempsey,
Kobe Jones was out there,
Kobe Jones,
Maurice Adu.
Yeah, multiple stars throughout the course of the weekend, and then Charlotte FC had multiple players show up. Tim Ream, Westy. Like, I mean, it was just a really, really fun get together for the whole week.
Yeah, and the one thing I didn't like was people coming at us on the internet about, like, oh, this needs to be played at a soccer specifics.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm like, come on, guys, like. This is something fun. You're able to get more people in here. People that probably would have gotten denied to this game probably got approved because there's more space.
Yep.
And that just helps the game overall because there's creators that connect with other people.
Yeah.
Or people that like are putting out content for their specific, MLS team as well. So I didn't like that. But I mean, outside of that, everything was great. Some of the goals were phenomenal. The Evander goal, the human song brace. And so what did you guys enjoy about the game, actually?
I was on the field for the game, so I was like right there watching both of the Son goals, and that was just so cool. And like he did the celebration like in front of me, so
That's
seeing
awesome,
that
dude.
in person
Yeah.
is cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of Aaron's videos, like he was looking straight at him, which was pretty cool as well.
Yeah, I think I also like shout out to Caleb Pongratz from New England Revolution. He covers New England Revolution. He came up to us at halftime. He was like, imagine if Carlos Hill had a striker. He said because Carlos Hill had both those assists to Heung-min Son, and so it's just like imagine if he had a finisher at the end of those during league play. New England's a different problem. But yeah, there's so many. I think like special moments throughout the game, just in terms of just seeing these guys all play such attacking style. You see Dean Smith put out like 5 attackers out of the game. You're like, yo, this is a little different.
Yeah.
And so just getting to see them just sort of just shine like that.
For sure. And I think our guys that were participating enjoyed it the best. I mean, like
100%.
Ashley West was playing golf with Human Song the morning of. Pep Biel and his relationship with Evander now,
Yep.
Tim Ream just being a good ambassador, continuing that, from the World Cup. So overall, I think it was a phenomenal event, and so and it was also a great segue for people that like are in Charlotte that like enjoyed the World Cup. It was something that they could go to,
Yeah.
And even like, like Liga MX should have had more quality players, but still a lot of people showed up. I've seen a lot of Chivas fans, a lot of just Liga MX fans, which was pretty cool as well.
Yeah, I do think in the future, my one other sort of like just feedback would be, I think it's time for it to be East versus West. I think we're there. I think there's enough good players in this league at the level to where it's really worth doing it like that, and then having it on a weekend. Like, there's got to be a way with the schedule change. Can we get it on a weekend?
For sure, dude. I mean, we just added Griezmann and Robert Lewandowski to the league.
Yeah.
So I mean, East versus West would give it more of an opportunity to like see more of like the star. Like, I think that would really showcase. Obviously, you have the stars, but then you have people like Evander, who's an MLS star, but like he doesn't have like the household name outside of that, like Robert Lewandowski would.
Or like look at like Lucas Harrington
Yeah.
might be going to Hull City for like 23 million
Isn't
or
that
something
crazy?
like that, and he was just at the All-Star game at 19.
Yeah.
So Xavier Gozo, another one. There's just, I mean, yeah, it was a good one.
Nice, awesome. Well, great event, and so now we transition over to what was not so great. Charlotte FC with a 2-1 loss against Chicago Fire. Brian, talk to me about this game.
Well, I mean, I feel like Charlotte started pretty well again. I mean, it was back and forth. And I feel like that's just how Chicago kind of has been playing, especially when they're missing one of their best center backs. Everything's going to be a little bit more attack heavy. Also, with the addition of Lewandowski, they're going to want to make sure he has a good showing. But I feel like Charlotte was well in it at the beginning, and they get the opening goal, which is they've actually now taken the lead early in 3 straight games since coming back from the World Cup break. So I would say that's a positive moving forward. If you keep taking leads, you're not going to drop points every time out. But at the same time, to give up that equalizer so fast after, I mean,
Like
I feel
a
like
minute later, dude.
I feel like there's a little extra momentum that gets dropped compared to when you just concede it, because you've just gone on your high, gotten that goal, and then to like just concede it back like that. I think there's just a little bit more of an energy drop.
Yeah.
And it felt like it showed kind of after that.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like even just the combination between Pep and Tokolomati in that first goal, and the finish by Pep Biel, Billy, where do you see Pep right now? Obviously, I feel like he's at his peak at Charlotte FC.
Yeah, he's been incredible this season. I went and watched the game back, and like I wrote down, I was like, is he just Charlotte FC's best player ever? Like right now?
Yeah.
Like, has he already reached that?
I would say yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, he was incredible. And then obviously, like Brian was saying, to concede immediately, it's kind of just takes a lot of the wind out of your sails. I think Kalina probably should have got to that ball. It seemed like he was a little bit delayed in his reaction, and before the shot, you can see him sort of like start bouncing to the left a little bit, and then had to dive right, and he just didn't get there.
Yeah, and I guess in terms of, you know, the ability to gain points out of Charlotte, it's something that Dean talked about, and Brian, talked to me a little bit about that. Just like you mentioned earlier, though, like we're still not at a level where I feel like the team's confident once they go up. You know?
Yeah, especially on the road. I feel like it's just a different.
I mean, even at home, we were 2-0 lead on Atlanta.
This is true. But I feel like that was more atypical of how they are at home.
That's fair.
So I feel like on the road, almost anything can happen with this team, and I think that's the monster that they got to figure out how to shake like this season. I wrote shameless plug on the midseason review / preview like last week. I talked about like if they're gonna hit the level they were last year, they have to get more points on the road because they've already dropped more points at home than they did all of last season. So if they're gonna reach the level points wise, they literally have to do better on the road. And I mean, they have the games to do it. They have 9 more road games against some really favorable opponents. Like the next 5 road opponents they have, like all are outside of the playoffs right now, or really close to being outside. So if they're in a spot right now where they can shake those demons and it's optimal, but they just have to go out and do it. Chicago's a tough one because they're
a team on the up.
And I think they might be pushing. Nashville's level is maybe. Slightly too bold a claim because Nashville has just been exceptional this year and done some things that MLS clubs just don't do, like winning, and it was Estadio Azteca for like the first time for an MLS club ever. So they've done some pretty historic things, Nashville has. So Chicago, but I feel like Chicago's getting close. Like they don't even have all their players back. They still have another DP spot open. Like they can still make more moves. So I think Chicago's pushing towards being one of the top tier 1 teams in ML and Eastern Conference for sure, maybe MLS.
Yeah, and we talk about different makers, Billy. You see that in the class that still Robert Lewandowski has, you know, with a brace in his first ever MLS game.
Yeah, but like, are you shocked? Like, are you
Not
surprised?
really,
Like, it's Robert Lewandowski. Like,
yeah, I said he's gonna comfortably score another 15-20 per season. You know, here, you know, he's just like, he's one of those players that also like, there's the other aspect of the game where they take care of themselves really well. They're really locked in, and like, you know, Haaland's always going to score. Even when he's 36, he's going to be kind of like Lewandowski, where it doesn't matter where he's at, he's going to still put up goals. And so I don't know what Charlotte have to do, but it's very frustrating seeing teams get their DPs in, you know, and play them from the get-go, or players in like, Casemiro signed with Inter Miami July 22nd, and he was playing this past weekend. We signed Alan St. Maximin on July 13th, I think, so 9 days before, and we still haven't been able to get him on the pitch. I don't know what sort of law, what sort of process going on, but something has to be done because this is now an issue. You lose 2 wingers, and you don't have the ability to count on your new DP mid-season when you actually need points as well. And so that to me is really, really frustrating. So I don't know how much. I don't think Charlotte has that much control, but something's got to give. Some sort of change has to happen. Like, I don't know who they have to talk to. Not Infantino anymore, but somebody with some sort of power. And so for me, that's really, really frustrating because this isn't the first instance that this has happened.
No, and that was a question I asked Dean after the post-match. I was like, how frustrating is it? And does it carry over into the locker room when you see like a Robert Lewandowski who comes in? Now he's already, 3 games in, looks like he's 90 minutes fit, and we're still waiting on when Alan St. Maximin's flight's going to come in. And so, but Dean kind of brushed it off, said, you know, these are just things outside of our control, yada, yada. Like, we just focus on what we can do. I was like, all right. I mean, I left the door open for him to kind of dive into that more. Obviously, not willing to.
He's like, yeah, let me not touch that.
Yeah.
Nice. Also, I wanted to talk, you brought up a good point. And so as we were like, first of all, some of these subs came in really late in this game. But also, you brought a good point of like, talk to me about like Idan Toklamaki's touches.
Yeah, well, specifically his shots. So, I mean, his touch count has been low as well, but in his 16 starts, he's only had 18 shots. He did have 6 shots in that one game when he came on as a sub against Atlanta, all headers, and he definitely should have put one of those away. But I just feel like at a shot a game, and it was a question I asked Dean today. Dean said he felt like this last game, his build-up play and his hold-up play was stronger. So, like, those intangibles are there. But I asked him specifically, like, are you trying to find a way to get him in dangerous areas to where he receives the ball and then can get a shot off? Because at one shot per game, if you're the main striker, I mean, you're just not gonna get the goals. I mean, it literally comes down to a volume thing. I mean, Erling Haaland can get away with 3 touches a game and maybe 2 goals, but like not many guys can do that. You're asking too much of a young prospect to not get any volume. You know, and I think actually this was one issue at one point we had a little bit with Patrick Ajman when he just wasn't able to get on the end of things and start to put the volume necessary to get the goals. And I think that's kind of what we're going through with Idon Tokomati a little bit right now. I think hold-up play is nice, these other intangibles, but it feels like they're a little bit Pep Biel dependent right now.
Yeah.
To get production, which, I mean, more or less, like Biel seems like he's capable of averaging about a goal contribution a game, so that's a good start. But I still feel like...
How much do you put that on the system of play versus Idon Tokomati?
For Idon not getting the shots, I think it's a combination. I mean, I think part of the hold-up play and the combining with Pep Biel is now he's deeper, right? I feel like we used to see this from Karol Swiderski back in the day a bit too, where he's dropping into the midfield. Okay, you just can't be in the midfield and in the box at the same time. So you can literally just pick one or the other. And so finding that balance of when to do one and then also find a way to get back in the box to make those runs and get the goals. You saw he was able to do it as a sub against Atlanta. So like clearly they found a way to feed him. It's just now doing it from the start and kind of balancing both.
Absolutely, Billy. And it also doesn't help that, we're down, Zaha, who's not here anymore, and also Kerwin Vargas.
Dean mentioned that as well.
Yeah, I mean, a huge takeaway for me last game, too, is like I do not want to see that midfield trio again because I want Pep in the midfield. Because if you're having, like what Brian was saying with Idon dropping back and like sort of linking up with Pep in the midfield, you only have one player that's actually going forward if Pep is on the wing and Idon is dropping back.
Yep.
So there's no one in the box. And I feel like I noticed that a lot in the game, not necessarily just in the box, but just players going forward, like on counters for when they would go, there'd be the one player up there with the ball, and then you'd see 1 or 2 other players come in a little bit after him, and then everyone else would be way behind. So it's like there's not much they can do, and feels like Chicago was closing out defensively. We need St. Maximin, and I think we need more too, because if one injury, one thing happens where you have to like go to your backup, Pep's going back out on the wing. And if it's Pep that's not there, that's your midfield 3 anyway, and then you have the other one. So it's, I mean, need more depth, and you need the DP that you got to come make a difference. He needs to get here. I mean, obviously,
he needs to get here, and then we're gonna have to if ASM isn't up to speed, like we gotta give him time, But the problem is like you're running out of time this season, and so and also like there's like if you're locking in new signings, like some of these chess moves that you're making need to like kind of get sped up as well. And so it's to me, I'm just like, oof, it's very interesting, Brian, talk to me about Luca De La Torre, a player that we talked about needed to have a big second half of the season.
Yeah, I mean, it's so far. I mean, I don't think he's done anything like really just jump off the page good, but he's clearly making an impact for what Dean is looking for. I mean, he's started every game since they've come back from the break. Dean has mentioned multiple times he really likes what he's seeing from him in training. In his last presser, Luca De La Torre also said he feels more comfortable, and that he even called out himself that like typically when he's had to make a move, he's seen from himself that he takes a little bit of time to get kind of comfortable and acclimated to his new team.
Lock in, Luca.
So that's where we're at now. Is like he's trying to lock in, and I mean Dean said that he felt like this last performance was the best one he's had in a Charlotte FC kit. So I think at this point Dean is really comfortable with what he's seeing from LDLT and Westwood in the double pivot. And then it's just, I think it comes down to how do you get enough attacking threat centrally if you do have to have BL out wide.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna head into. Like, okay, I agree that he's performing better, but in instances right now, like where we're missing like players and they're like, you were brought in as a key guy.
Yeah, 100%.
So I like the expectation, especially moments right now, like we need to see more of you.
Yep.
And I just still don't feel like I've seen a really, really good version of Luca De La Torre. Like,
No, we haven't seen Max Tam.
yeah, we haven't seen that Max. That's a perfect way of putting it. Like that assist he had, his very first assist he had. Like I was like, okay, this could be.
Yeah.
That's the Luca De La Torre I want to see more often.
Yeah.
And so, Billy, Luca De La Torre, any thoughts?
I just want to see. I mean, obviously, like he's looked like better coming out of it, like in the second half of the season, but it's kind of hard to judge from this past game too, because if you don't have that attacking presence in the midfield, it's like it kind of was him that would have been shoehorned into having to be that attacking midfielder last game, and that's just not how he's supposed to play for the team. So right now it's kind of hard to judge him, but based on the previous two games, I think it's trending in the right direction.
Yeah.
I will say one thing that has been an issue, and it continues to be, is the lack of just midfield control.
Yeah.
And so even with maybe Luka rounding into a bit more form, this team still just doesn't control the ball. And I mean, you saw specifically, I think when Chicago had like a 27 pass sequence leading to Lewandowski's second goal, it's like there's just nobody fixing that.
Yeah.
Charlotte, there's just no solution to just prevent teams from doing things like that. So I think that's one area where if Luka's going to stay out there starting, you've got to figure out how to control game tempo, speed of play, possession, all those things.
Yeah. Because then it's like, oh, we're reverting back to getting Bronico on the pitch to kind of disrupt a lot of that.
Yep, exactly.
You know, and so also, you know, Harry Toffolo came off, you know, and he's a player who's had a couple of injuries already in this team. And so, I mean, him, obviously Henry Kessler's in there now as well, the center back. And so talk to me a little bit about that. You know, obviously we know what Schnegg can do, but Harry Toffolo.
Yeah, so this was a really interesting comment from Dean today. He like opened with this. He said Harry Toffolo keeps pulling up with like tightness. They've done MRI scans. They're doing another MRI scan today, but he's like nothing's showing up on the scans. He's just getting scans and nothing's actually like showing up as an issue. It's just like he's feeling tightness after about 60 minutes. He said he's fine during training, but it's after 60 minutes of gameplay or so is when his leg just kind of tightens up on him. So it's I don't even know what to deal with that situation. Like,
Which is kind of strange because he said he came to Charlotte. He was like one of the fittest guys that came. Remember that comment he made?
Yeah, it's really bizarre. So none of it really makes all that much sense. But it's I mean, it's an absolute concern because you just can't have a fullback who's supposed to be able to be a two-way player, run the length of the field, and to come up sort of lame every 60 minutes is, I mean, and it actually, I think in some ways, Dean even called this out, like kind of cost him on the second goal because he wasn't able to sub him, and so he was supposed to provide some of the coverage on that side, and you know it leads to Lewandowski getting the pass and getting the goal.
I remember the days of Toloma where like you could tell after like minute 65 he was kind of tired or done.
Yeah.
You know, so it's very strange that it feels like that with Harry Toffolo right now, although like based on everything that we've seen in the past, like good work ethic, you know, very strong. Dean's mentioned this, so it'll be very interesting to see like what happens, you know, and so hopefully it's more of a mental thing than it is a pitch thing.
Yeah.
You know, and so awesome. Any last thoughts on this game?
I will say like just Morrison and Kessler playing together. You mentioned Kessler briefly.
Yeah.
I do think it'll be an interesting duo to watch. Like how does Ream fit into this? Because this last game, Dean said he just kind of gave Ream the day off essentially, just like after coming off the World Cup.
Yeah, he's
like
played
that.
a lot.
And so just kind of giving him a break. But I'm interested because, like, I mean, you assume that Ream is probably somewhat near the end of his tenure in Charlotte. So is Morrison and Kessler the duo of the future or not? So I think that's just that center back duo is one to watch.
Anything else, Billy?
I'd say I want to see some subs a little bit earlier.
It's a great
I
point.
want to see Archie get on a little bit earlier if Idan is not making much of an impact in a game. I mean, we saw that a little bit like during the first half of the season, like where the strikers would be subbed off like a little bit early, but we've also seen it a lot where it's like super late, and it's like when it's an 86-minute sub with a striker, and you're down.
Yeah.
How much of a difference? I can't really get into the game very.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think one thing that maybe differentiates Archie from Tokolomati is like he can try to create more opportunities for himself than Edon does. Like he'll work harder for a ball. We saw it earlier this season, wins a penalty, and so like I feel like he has that extra oomph that maybe that's not really part of Edon Tokolomati's like armory, and so yeah, you're right. Like okay, like if it's not working, give him 15 to 20 minutes instead of 5 to 10.
Yeah.
So, but awesome. And then we're going to move into Leagues Cup. Before we do that, I do want to touch on, I forgot to mention this, is Kerwin Vargas moving on to Atletico Paranaense. And so, I mean, a good structured deal, this seems like. I think Tom mentioned it could go up to $6 million, with a 20%, sell-on clause. That's pretty good business for a guy that you got under $2 million. Yep. And so who did serviceable. He was good when he was here, and so I'll start with you, Billy. What do you make of the move?
Obviously it would be nice to have him on the team.
Yeah.
But for like the business being done is pretty good business. That sell-on clause is going to be big because if like you're getting $6 million for the sale for him, you imagine that's going to be even more and they sell him on in the future.
Yeah.
And you're getting 20% of that. That's just more money coming in the future. You just got to replace him though. Like you can't just not bring in a new winger. Like you have to replace him, especially with right now how the season's looking. Like we were talking about earlier, you have to improve on the road if you want to match what you did last season. And now being down a winger, even like whenever we do get ASM in, we're still down a winger because we don't have Vargas now.
Yeah, Brian.
Yeah, I would say it's also just, I mean,
you weren't in favor of this move at all.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'll also say like it sounds like Vargas was also pushing for this move,
was.
And so it sounds
for
like
a while
lot of this,
now. It's not. It hasn't been like.
So it sounds like a lot of this was unavoidable. So given that, I still obviously opt to keep him if you can, but if you can't, it is what it is. I'd say getting the money is a huge plus. They now have I think up to $3 million in allocation money. You can cash out for that much, and so they can definitely get a max TAM to replace him. But the question is like you have to. Like Billy said, you have to replace those goals. You have to replace that effort. You have to be able to replace and get more. I would say that as well is the other big thing, and it has to be kind of this season because again, it's all about like making money from sales is a plus, but the goal is to win trophies. And actually, there was a comment from Matt Doyle talking about that with another sale for I forget who it was, but he was referencing the Obed Vargas move. It was the Seattle Sounders holding off, and they made a lot less money off of Obed Vargas when they sold him to Atletico Madrid. But by keeping him, they ended up going on their run and winning the Leagues Cup. And that last final probably netted them $10 million just on that game because they sold like 67,000 tickets or something. It was It was against Miami, so it was a huge, massive event.
Yeah.
So like balancing out when you sell and what you can keep out of that, all those things,
Yeah, that's fair. I think, again, like what you mentioned, like what frustrates me is, bro, this is the middle of our season.
Yeah.
So we're losing key players in the middle of our season, you know? And so hopefully with the calendar change next year, like we don't see this too much in January, and so we see it more in the summer transfer, which is like, it should be lined up. And also like, I feel like the talk of the World Cup helping MLS teams like us, like, I'm not seeing the ROI of that, dude. Where is the, we were linked with way more players when we signed Zaha than we are now. Way more high quality players, the Lo Celsos of the world, the Marco Reus, like even Harvey Elliott just 6 months ago. And now I'm like, okay, like where are those? Like I was expecting to see a bigger volume of those type of links this summer too. Where a lot of these players have kind of saw what the U.S. and the World Cup was about. And I'm like, it doesn't feel like the last one we got linked to was a fullback that's not even going to come to Charlotte.
Yeah, that would be crazy if he came to Charlotte. Because he's, 34?
Yeah.
Same age? Yeah.
Yeah, there's no chance that's happening, by the way.
Yeah. I would really hope not, to be honest. Do you think maybe one of the reasons that it's been so kind of mum's the word in all this is they're still trying to figure out what to do with the Bada, and so they just don't want the pressure to be on them to try to make that happen. And if they like start getting linked to the moves they want, they can't make the move because of Bada's still
No,
there.
because when you're going for like these bigger players, stuff gets out really fast.
Yeah.
Because it's like that size of a move, like is very hard to keep under wraps.
Yeah.
You know, and so I mean, we see it all the time. You know, like not obviously not with Charlotte, but with other players.
Yep.
And so, but I do think they need to figure out this Abada situation ASAP.
Yeah. 100%.
You know, and so because I mean, like I mentioned before, there's a very high chance that he's leaving. You know, and so the thing is, like I just feel like we don't pull the trigger fast enough with a lot of these moves, and you kind of have to pull the triggers faster because it takes forever to get a player to just get a visa to come play in Charlotte. You know. And so, like, if we sign somebody this week, we'll probably see them in October, you know, so.
Hey, in time for the playoff run.
What things looking right now? What playoff?
Yeah, for sure. And so, yeah, I would say, I mean, obviously it's good business by Charlotte. I think their ability to sell players is really good. Like, no one's doubting that. What for me and like what we've mentioned is, can you replace them quicker, and can we get like things moving faster, especially in the middle of the season? So awesome. Let's move on to Leagues Cup. You know, into a tournament that no one asked for, but it's here. Nah, let me not say it like that, because you know we actually went to a Leagues Cup. What would you call that? Like a conference? Not a conference, like a informational
So,
day.
like,
And
intro event? I don't
intro
know.
event, yeah. And so Marco Fabian was there. And then I did like that he mentioned
Greg Garza, too.
Greg Garza, yeah.
Yep.
And I was gonna go on what Marco Fabian said, that like, you know, one of his best moments in his career that he enjoyed was being able to win, to go to get that berth to the Champions, CONCACAF Champions League, and then go and play, you know, the Club World Cup. And so he said the Leagues Cup can give you a berth to a moment like that. And so I mean, like, it's a competition. Obviously, I was joking, but like you should take serious. And for teams that aren't like, we're not really in the top candidates to win an MLS Cup, maybe a Leagues Cup is a good opportunity to go on a run.
Yeah, and I think also one change that's happening this year is that there's games in Mexico. Now, none of Charlotte's games are in Mexico this year, but just the fact that players will get a chance to play at some of the most historic stadiums. Again, Estadio Azteca being the cream of the crop. Just having that opportunity to go there and play in that atmosphere. I mean, you saw it in the World Cup. It pops like very few other places do. And so I think having those kind of moments and those kind of environments is what can make this Leagues Cup actually become something that I think raises the stakes and raises the value. I think that's what's been missing is like people. The question is just like, why the Leagues Cup? And I think actually having it spread out across all continents helps that.
Yeah. And then someone brought up another good point, Billy, where like before it would be like the beginning of the season for a lot of these Liga MX teams versus now, and we're in the middle, we would be in the middle of the MLS season. Now with the break, you know, they kind of both start at like zero to a degree, you know, and so I think from a competitive standpoint, you know, the last three Leagues Cup finals, they haven't even had Liga MX teams in.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna, because middle of MLS season,
Everyone's
like,
in
everyone's
form.
full form. Like they're adjusted to like playing a lot of games. That's the point where it's multiple games a week, and a lot of times early on, you don't necessarily want to play multiple games a week like that if it's the beginning of your season.
Yeah.
To try and, I mean, it helps get people up to speed for like faster, but when it's a cup that kind of matters like that, then you don't want to try and have to get people up to speed during the cup.
Absolutely. And then Brian, like I really like the opponents that Charlotte has to play against.
Yeah.
You know, you get a mixture of, well, you get 3 Liga MX teams, which is a plus, you know, because we're going to play MLS teams in the league. But, you know, you get Pumas, you get Atlas, you get Pachuca. You know, you get to test yourself also against, you know, some Liga MX sides.
Yeah, I mean, and Pumas is gonna. I mean, I would imagine their fan base is gonna break.
Yeah, I think
night.
anytime when we see Chivas here or Cruz Azul, America, these are like the top. I would say these 4 teams, and then the Monterrey sides travel really, really well from Mexico. So I guess like the environment tomorrow may not be a home game.
Yeah, but it adds a little extra pressure because I mean I would say Pumas is definitely the favorite, even though they're having to travel to Charlotte, just based on their roster and kind of how they've built their team. And then I think forgive me if I'm wrong, but I think they topped the Clausura last year. They don't think they won the title, but
No, they lost to
were-
Cruz Azul in the final.
So they topped. I think they topped the table. So they're in good form. They're near the top of the table this year as well. And so I mean, it's early days for them, but at the same time, like this is a top team, and so Charlotte's going to be able to find out like who they are a little bit in this one, and then whether or not they actually have a chance to push out of the group because it's tough to get out of this stage. It's only 4 teams qualify out of the 18 teams in your league, so losing even one game,
You're
puts
kinda
you
done.
right up against it. I think last year 2 teams from MLS finished with 7 points and didn't qualify for the next round.
Yeah.
So I think in Liga MX, a couple of 6-point teams made it, but you definitely need 2 wins, but you might even need more. So
Yeah.
that puts pressure on every game. Which
So
is
if we lose
exciting.
tomorrow, we're cooked pretty
might
much.
might be.
Yeah. Billy, what kind of changes do you want to see in this game, And so how serious does Dean take this? Because I feel like with the Open Cup, like even against Atlanta, like I feel like there should have been better bench options as well.
Yeah, I think he's going to take it pretty seriously, or at least he should, because, I mean, look at how, like, there's the MLS Cup, but I mean, you're almost mathematically eliminated from Supporter Shield. So you have 2 opportunities to win something. Then at this point, you got to take both of them very seriously. So I would like to see like an actual competitive lineup and don't rotate it just because you have to rotate it. I want to see a competitive lineup.
Tiger Small starts tomorrow, Brian?
No, I don't think so. And I think Dean actually, I mean, he mentioned he didn't expect much rotation. I mean, if you rotate, then your players aren't playing a meaningful game until the 15th.
Friday, yeah.
So, the 15th.
Oh, you're talking about just the whole Leagues Cup.
If you were to rotate for Leagues Cup and not
Gotcha.
take it super seriously, you're then giving your key guys 2 weeks off after they just had 2 months off.
Yeah,
so,
that's fair.
Which is one of the other things that will affect a lot of I think it's like 10 MLS teams have 2 weeks off again after they just were off for the whole World Cup. So it's already impacting some teams. So I don't think that's going to be a positive for them. So I think if you're Dean, you want your guys to be playing. I think for the most part, players are fine with playing every 2 to 3 days because it means they don't have to train all that hard. Straight up.
Yeah, for sure. There's more of a recovery period, yeah.
Yeah, you just spend time recovering and playing. And I think from a player's perspective, I mean, a lot of them, I think Toffolo would be the one big question mark throughout all of this. I'd imagine he gets a lot of rest. And so Will Cleary and Schnegg will probably get a decent amount of reps throughout this time. I think a bunch of players will at least see the bench. I think guys like Andrew Johnson and Nathan Richmond might be on the bench because you can have, I think it was, Dean was saying like 23 guys in your squad. And he said straight up, like, I would expect Nathan Richmond to be on that list. So some of these guys that we maybe haven't seen yet that have been doing really well at Legacy should be at least around.
Yeah,
which I think is exciting and interesting.
Yeah, and right now too, where we're like missing more players too.
100%.
Like we don't have ASM yet, you know, and so we lost some. So I also would say, Billy, there's a big positive also that like all these games are at home for you. So like you should be trying to pull at least 7 points from these 3 games.
Yeah, and for a team that historically, past few years at least, has been very good at home,
then
that should make a difference. But also, we've seen in the past, these Liga MX teams travel very well. So it doesn't always feel like a home game, even if it is a home game.
Yeah. Who do you think could use the best confidence boost, Brian, from this Leagues Cup run?
I mean, probably. I mean, it's an easy answer, but probably ASM. Like if he flies in tomorrow and can get at least a game in by Tuesday, maybe, or even 15 minutes on Friday.
Yeah.
I think for me, that's also what you want to use this time for. Is like, can you make up for the fact that it's taken him almost like a month and a half to get here, Like, can you make up for that by like, getting in this extra competition, getting him, I don't know, 45 minutes, maybe a little bit more, and just get his feet under him against a league that he's familiar with after playing at Club America.
Oh,
And
yeah,
so,
that's true
things
too.
like that. So I feel like for me, I would put ASM on that list just because use the Leagues Cup to get his feet under him. So even if you're eliminated, you at least have one of your key new signings that we've been talking about for a while up to speed.
Yeah, I think I would say that too. I'd say probably Luca De La Torre to continue to improve, and Henry Kessler as well, who who's kind of getting some time now after another injury. Will anybody else stand out for you?
I'd say Rodolfo Oloco, because if you get eliminated and we're down a winger now with no Cohen Vargas.
That's very true. Yeah,
he needs to get the game time. He hasn't gotten that much. He got a little bit when he first came up with the first team, but he hasn't really gotten that much since then. So getting him that game time, get some confidence in, maybe score a goal, get an assist, I think could do wonders for him.
Another thing to note, I'd imagine, I hadn't gotten confirmation on this, but I think it was last League's Cup, David Bingham rotated in for most of it. So
That's
maybe a
right,
chance that
yeah.
Tyler Miller at least gets a couple of the starts too. Just to get, again, gets him some reps.
That's a great point too.
Yeah.
Obviously, Pumas, very tough team, like you mentioned. Obviously Carrasquilla stands out because he used to be in MLS. Keylor Navas, legend of the game. So you're expecting from this Pumas side?
I'm expecting them to be the aggressors, I think, in a lot of aspects of this game, and really try to bring it and show that they are likely the favorites, even if they're on the road. Just because I would expect for them, the expectations is they come into Charlotte and win. And so from their fan base, that is likely to show up for them in Charlotte, and then also just in general in terms of their pedigree. This is a somewhat unfamiliar territory for Charlotte. Obviously, they've played Liga MX before in Leagues Cup, but I don't feel like Charlotte FC has shown up well enough against some of these top Mexican teams, as most MLS clubs haven't. So it's for Pumas, I think they're gonna try to bring it.
Yeah. How much of a boost would it be for Charlotte FC, Billy? You're playing a top team in Liga MX, and if you could get a win over them, there's a strong start to Leagues Cup.
Yeah, I think it definitely makes you think that you could advance through if you come out with a win there, because that should be the most difficult game they play. It's not guaranteed to be the most difficult, but on paper it is. So if you can get 3 points out of that, and you need at least 7, maybe even 9 to go through, but getting 3 points you have to get it to even have a chance at it, but it makes you feel like maybe you can if you beat a team like Pumas.
Yeah, I think, like you mentioned, I think a draw, you're not out, but it's a tough start.
Yeah.
But also this is the strongest team that you're probably going to play in the competition, and so then you move on to Atlas. I think I would say a win against Atlas, not truly a great team, and you're at home. So.
Yeah. And then if you win the PK shootout, so say you go to PKs against Pumas, now you've got 2 points. You get a win against Atlas, now you're on 5.
Yeah.
Now you might not even need a win against Pachuca in the last one, as long as you get at least a draw and maybe
another PK.
win. So you're at least in the mix, and I think that would be a really exciting third day. I think that makes this whole Leagues Cup worth it for a city like Charlotte, where you go into it. Obviously it's a Tuesday match, so not the most ideal day of the week, but still Tuesday game against Pachuca, another good Liga MX team, where you have a chance to advance into a knockout round, and that would be the first time in Dean Smith's tenure where he would, have been able to do that. So I think that's the setup you want.
Yeah, God, I feel kind of bad for the leagues because it just doesn't feel like it's coming at a convenient time. At least what I'm seeing, All-Stars just happen. I think people are ready to get back into league play and and so but for you guys, I'm gonna ask you this: what would you consider success from the Leagues Cup? What is success to Charlotte FC?
I would love to see them get out of the group stage.
Yeah.
It's a tough ask. It's a tough group. I definitely think there's a lot of easier groups to play against.
And
But at
you're
the
playing
same
3
time-
games in 7 days, and you're wanting to get at least 7 points.
Yeah, it's a tough ask, but I would still. You're at home for all 3.
Yeah,
Some
that's
of these
fair
teams
too.
are bouncing around with
That's a great point,
2
yeah.
games in between, 2 days in between games, and they're going to Mexico, and then they're coming back home, and then they're bouncing around a good bit. So schedule-wise, Charlotte might have one of the more favorable, travel schedules. You can't get more favorable than just staying at home the whole time. So I think from that perspective, you feel like they at least have a chance. I think a lot of it comes down to this first game. But just if you do get out of the group stage and are in the, I mean, you're one game off of qualifying for CCC.
Yeah.
And so I think it goes from how important is Leagues Cup to Charlotte FC to this is the most important game and competition that Charlotte FC has ever been a part of very fast.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think
So you're literally 4 games away from a final pretty much.
Well, you're 4 games. So because the semifinal game is 3 teams qualify for CCC, and so you need to get to the semifinal. So yeah, 4 games to have a chance to qualify for CCC, and then at that point you're at least guaranteed a 3rd place game, which could get you in there. So it goes from how important is Leagues Cup? We're getting through this. This is really hard to qualify for the knockout rounds. To we're in the knockout rounds. Nothing else matters.
Yeah, for sure. What's success to you out of this?
I wouldn't say that they have to advance for it to be considered a success. Obviously, you'd like that to happen, but I'd say you just can't lose a game. Like it has to you have to win one and like get to PKs on the others. You can't lose it. All 3 at home. If you lose a game, I think that's a failure of a Leagues Cup. Because you lose, you're basically knocked out of advancing.
Yeah. Honestly, my take now is success to me is getting to that game, to that semifinal game. Yeah. You know, because, I mean, you probably are one of the few teams that has the most favorable schedule for this. You're, like you mentioned, you're at home for all these games. And so get 2 wins, and you get 1 draw, win it in penalties.
Yep.
You know, and so with that, like, then you get very, very close to that birth of a CONCACAF Champions League, and I want to go to St. Martin's next year and play some random team.
Well, think about like what it did for LA Galaxy's season last year, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they lose Ricky Puig. They're like at the bottom of the MLS, and then they go on this crazy run in Leagues Cup, and then they qualify with the 3rd place game, and they qualify for CCC out of nowhere. They finished like 26th in the table.
Yeah.
So I think that's also the value of the U.S. Open Cup. Like we've seen Kansas City make deep runs and qualify for CCC out of nowhere before too. So I think Charlotte FC obviously isn't in that dire of a straits, but I think it can show that like sometimes you can pull the future forward a little bit and be like, hey, we don't have to just rely on trying to find a way back into the top 4 of MLS. We can kind of make our season a success now. I got it out.
Yeah, no, the more I think about it, I'm like, get to that semifinal game.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. And like, not that like, if you like one of the things we mentioned at the beginning of this year in terms of expectations for Dean Smith was what? Seeing progression somewhere, you know? And I think progression for Charlotte FC is qualifying to like the Champions League of this area, you know? I think that would be a big, I mean, we've seen Austin do it, and Austin's been terrible most of their seasons.
We've seen almost every team do it except for us, and I think it's Minnesota right now. I think those are the only 2 teams that haven't qualified for CCC so far. And that was one of my goals for the season too, was like at minimum, if you don't win a trophy, which would qualify for you for CCC, but if you can find another way to either get yourself high enough in the Eastern Conference to just have a seed drop down to you, like that's the main goal, is like get to CCC this next year and alter the course of just how the season looks for fans.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, I guess I'm not sure how the semifinals allocation works in terms of where they play at, but imagine if we got a semifinal here in Charlotte. You know, that would be electric for Charlotte FC.
100%.
You know, and so, yeah, the more I think about this, like, if they don't win this cup, it's over. No, I'm kidding. I started with,
You're saying disband the team if they don't win it.
League Cup, if you're hiring, we were able to sell this to Jorge in, like, what is it, like 5 minutes?
Yeah. Dude.
Sponsor us.
Yeah. 100%. Awesome. I do also want to touch a little bit on, you know, big news coming from MLS today, as Larry Berg has been named the next commissioner of Major League Soccer. You know, Don Garber, I feel like, has been around since, you know, well, even before COVID. So, how long has he been here? Like 20 years?
God, it's been a long time. He's been
probably
the
more,
commissioner,
right?
A very, very long time. Pretty much, he was. I'm reading Landon Donovan's book now, and he was negotiating Landon Donovan's deal when he was trying to leave Bayer
God.
Leverkusen, and that was 02.
God, yeah.
So, or maybe a little after. Yeah, so, I mean, maybe
Since
even
1999.
before- yeah, so.
Damn,
as
the year my brother was born.
Yeah, so he's
Shout
been,
out Rocky.
Yeah, so he's been he's been around a long. He's seen literally every aspect of MLS, from like 3 owners owning 8 clubs or whatever it was to like just the dire straits they were in to the success they're on now. I think it's the beginning of a new era.
Nice, yeah. Do you know anything about Larry Berg in general? I mean, obviously we know he was a co-owner of LAFC.
He's going to have to get rid of all of those shares. So he's no longer going to be the owner of LAFC, owner of LAFC. I mean, they've got like 40 owners, I think, over there, so they'll be fine. but yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see how it changed. What changes he implements.
Yeah.
I'm curious if LAFC was one of the. I would imagine they were probably one of the teams that was pushing for more roster rule flexibility.
Yeah.
If that's is indeed the case, and that's one of the reasons why he was brought in, then maybe we see that roster flexibility and those changes happen faster. I mean, I think that's probably what people are going to be looking for.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest part.
Yeah.
Obviously, like, I think if you look at Don Garber's tenure, like, you can call it a success. You know, the
100%.
league was like
Would've
dying.
died.
Yeah, when he took over, and now like it's at a very healthy spot.
Yeah.
And it has the potential to continue to grow, right? Become, to me, a top 6, probably top 5 league in the world, you know, just because I don't think League One or Serie A right now are strong at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so it's like, what kind of roster rules can you change? What can you get rid of that becomes unnecessary? Even like the whole situation with Casemiro, I'm like, dude, this is such an unnecessary like drama that's going on in MLS.
I mean, you're talking about the whole with him and LA Galaxy and all
Yeah.
that. I mean, it just happened. That's the discovery rights rule, and I'm not really sure why that's not one that just gets done away with, because no other league has to.
That's
deal
what
with
I'm
any of
saying.
that. Like, yeah,
Like it's an extra issue.
yeah, that they just don't do away with. So I think those are kind of the things. Can he clean up some of those smaller things
Yeah.
fast and get owners on the same page? It seems like a decent amount of MLS owners are at the spot where, like, hey, momentum is building. The World Cup ended. We saw the numbers come in. The numbers, at least for like U.S. games and Mexico games, like, were the biggest sporting events besides NFL, like Super Bowls. And so, like, when you see those kind of numbers come in, I think it influenced a lot of people to be like, hey, it is time to really put pedal to the metal and put some money into this thing. And I think that's what this new commissioner needs to be able to show, that he can help move the needle on that.
Billy, for him to take this league to MLS, whatever point we're at now, that's the next one. What do you need to see?
I mean, it's just going to be more like roster rule changes. Obviously, have to get rid of discovery rights. I mean, every time you see like the headline, like on social media, people make fun of it because it's like, what do you mean you have the discovery rights for Casemiro?
Yeah.
Like, what are we talking? You didn't discover
The
Casemiro.
European mind can't
Yeah.
comprehend.
Yeah, like that has to go away with. Just it. I think you could improve the whole like salary cap with the allocation money and all that. It gets needlessly complicated at times. I think that's the next step, is just changing roster construction rules.
Yeah, for me, it goes back to that. It's like you're refining things, you know. Like Robert Lewandowski had a solid offer from some Saudi clubs, you know, and he chose to come to MLS.
Yeah.
That's big, you know, for me, because it's like you could just throw money at these guys and they'll go somewhere else. But they're actually seeing the value of, obviously it's attractive to play in the U.S. and also the league is very, very competitive, right? And so that to me is like, okay, how do you, like, you have a good product, you have really good players that you want that come here. We've got Messi, for Christ's sake, here. And so how do you continue to improve? How do you, like, how can we get, like, Inter Miami with 7 DPs, you know? And so that's where we need to be at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Without anybody complaining about it, because everybody can have 7 DPs if they want. I think the one final goal, if you could just actually put like a kind of a quantifiable objective to a goal for this new commissioner, is get this league to being a top 5 league in the world.
Yeah.
I think that's the next step. I mean, one other like measure for Don Garber's success was like you look at Beckham when he signed his deal in 07, his valuation for the expansion fee he got to have a club in the future was like $25 million. San Diego's expansion fee was like $500 million. So the amount of valuation that Don Garber was involved in was exponential. And so I think that's the next. You've already gotten that initial exponential growth. Now it's like get it to a point where everybody respects it on the world stage, that it's foundational, that you're one of the top leagues in this world. And I think France is there to be taken. Like you can make it into the top 5 because I think, like you said, Serie A, Ligue 1, these are leagues that don't feel super stable right now, at least competition-wise. And the salary cap rules do give you that. They give you the fact that many teams are competitive in this league. If they have more money, it just multiplies that factor. And then let's see where it goes.
100%. Yeah, I think short. That's a really good goal, getting there. I also think, in more of a short-term goal, I think it would be kind of like in South America, Copa de Libertadores gets dominated by Brazilian teams now. Like they just outspend. It's a more competitive league than any other league, and I think MLS has the chance to kind of get there with the right rules.
Yep.
Right? Because, we're already competing against Liga MX teams, but I think we really get hindered with some of these rules when we're playing like teams like Monterrey who can afford to line up 7 or 8 DPs that would be in MLS. I think that would be the big game changer where you're like, okay, like now you're facing MLS teams and you feel like you're at a huge disadvantage. And I think we can get there as a league in the very short term, right? If they put in the right rules and they're able to soften on some things. And so with that said, that comes the end of our show. I wanted to ask you guys, give us a little score prediction for both Pumas and Atlas. And I'll start off with you, Billy.
I want to be optimistic, but I think at best case scenario against Pumas, I think it's a penalty shootout win. I don't see a win in 90, so I'll be optimistic. I will say 2-2 through 90, 4-3 shootout win.
Nice.
And then I'll say against Atlas, I'll say 2-1 Charlotte.
Okay, so we'll still be in a good pole position to qualify. 5 points. Just need 3 more, Brian.
That's crazy. That's literally what I was about to. I was literally gonna make that same Pumas prediction because I feel like it's a good opportunity to get goals. I mean, I think they'll find them at home. Yeah, I'll go with 2-2 as well. That was literally what I was gonna say there.
Nice. Well, I'm gonna go with 2 Charlotte wins, and they also get an extra point in penalties, so they get 4 points. No, I'm kidding. We won, but we want to do a penalty shootout for an extra point.
We'll gamble a point.
Yeah. Nah, I mean, not to copy you guys, but I think the same thing. Draw, win in penalties, and then another win at home, and then next week we talk about how amazing the Leagues Cup is because we're 1 win away from potentially playing, a semifinal at the bank, and so.
Yep.
With that said, Billy, where can everybody find you at?
Find me at I am Billy McGee on social media.
Nice. Brian?
Find me on X at Bam Mauer Media, written content, topin90.com.
Jorge Gonzalez, we're Top Bin 90 on all our socials. Be on the lookout because we got some really good content coming out soon as well.